I am at Sydney Airport International Terminal Arrivals Hall. And from this airport, you can take a train directly into the city. So the airport rail station is pretty much at the end of this terminal here, just past the McDonald's. So if you take the train from the airport rail station, you'll get charged a $20 or so access fee. Now, if you want to avoid that fee and don't mind a bit of a walk, you can actually walk to the next nearby station. It's about a 20 or 25 minute walk away. If you take the train from there, you just get charged the normal train fare. And you'll be able to avoid that $20 or so airport access fee. So I'll show you how to walk to that station now. First thing you do is just walk outside the door like I just did and head towards the car park. So pretty much where these people are going, just cross the street over here and just follow the signs. You see the signs there that say that you point to the ride share, point to the car park. But the strange thing is they don't point to the pedestrian pathway. So for some reason, this pedestrian path is not very well signed. So if you don't know about it, then you might have some trouble finding it. I'm not quite sure why, because it is a pretty nice pathway actually. It's mostly separated from traffic, so you don't need to worry about, mixing with cars and all that kind of stuff. So it's actually a pretty nice, easy walk to the next station. Okay, so once you're in this area here, you just gotta take the travelator or the elevators up one level. So I see some people waiting for the elevators, but I don't have a trolley, so I'm just gonna take the travelator up one level. So basically I came from the arrivals level, but if you're walking to the airport, so obviously I'm filming this going from the airport, but you can do the walk in reverse if you're going to the airport. But you can see the departures level will be one level above this. So essentially the pedestrian pathway is in between the arrivals and departures level. And here you can see the first sign pointing to a footbridge and cycleway. And obviously no one would be able to see that sign if they're on this level to begin with. So I'm not quite sure why that is not signed earlier. Okay. Now here you see I'm entering the car park. But again, there's a sign there pointing to the footbridge and cycleway. So here we are, the start of the pedestrian walk to the next nearby station, which is in Walleye Creek. You can see the sign there pointing to Walleye Creek, Tempe, and Mascot. Okay, but you see it's a nice shared path for pedestrians and cyclists, but pretty much very few people use it. Now I tend to do this walk whenever I have a bit of spare time, if I'm not in a rush, going home or on my way to the airport. But you see, people just don't really know about it. On the right side here is the car park, and down there is essentially the Uber pickup area, right? So pretty much all those people you saw outside heading to this area were pretty much mostly, I would say, going to the Uber pickup area or going to the car park here. As you can see, there really aren't any people on this path. I do see one guy up ahead, so that's already a lot more than what I'm used to seeing here. So I'm just not quite sure why this walk isn't really well posted, well known, because as you can see, it's quite convenient. You don't need to cross, the roads. You don't need to mix with traffic. It's a nice, simple walk. So you can see this is a pretty nice scenic walk along the water. So I mentioned before, I'm walking towards Walleye Creek. So I guess the name implies creek. It's by a creek, but essentially this is part of the, I think it's the Parramatta River. But essentially, it's a nice scenic walk So it's not just a functional thing, but it can also be a sightseeing thing. So whether you're arriving into Sydney and you want to do a bit of sightseeing, just get used to the area before you head over to the Opera House and things like that, then yeah, this is a nice little walk to take. And also if you're walking to the airport and you want to do some last minute sightseeing in Sydney, then this is a good way to do that as well. Now, as I mentioned before, the walk takes about 20 to 25 minutes, so it obviously adds a bit to your travel time. But if you're not in a rush, then it's a really nice walk to do. Okay, now that I'm at the end of the blue path, you can see I gotta take the right path here to go up this bridge. So don't head to the left there. I'm not quite sure what's over there. But this is going to be the most difficult part of the walk, where essentially you walk across this traffic bridge here, not crossing the actual road, but just walking along here. And it's difficult because you can see the footpath is pretty narrow. So if you're carrying luggage with you, it might be a bit of a hassle. Now it's not so bad if you're the only one on this footpath walking down, but there's someone walking towards you from the other direction, or even cycling past you, then that could be a problem. So technically, cyclists are not allowed to use the footpath. But you can see the road here. It's a lot of cars zooming by, so really not great for people on bikes. So sometimes you do get people cycling down here or pushing a stroller down. So if you're lugging a big piece of luggage with you, then yeah, it could become pretty inconvenient. And just generally speaking, if you're walking 20 to 25 minutes to the airport, then ideally you don't want to be carrying that much luggage with you in the first place. So this walk probably better if maybe you have at most one piece of rolling luggage, or ideally no luggage at all. But yeah, assuming you don't have that too much luggage, it's actually quite a nice walk. So even though, as I mentioned, this bridge is the most difficult part of the walk, it's still quite scenic, as you can see. A nice little bridge there. Obviously does not compare to the Sydney Opera House, but yeah, still quite nice to see. You can see that red and white building over there. That's a badminton center, so I've played badminton there a few times. And in the background, you can start to see the mid and high-rise apartment buildings in Walleye Creek. So you can see it's starting to have a nice developed city feel to it. And again, it's all by the water, so yeah, quite a nice walk, even this difficult part along the motor bridge. Okay, so I've reached the end of that difficult part of the journey. So yeah, that wasn't too bad. I didn't have any people on bikes or pushing strollers walk past me, so yeah, no major dramas there. All right, so now I'm essentially in Walleye Creek. So you can see it's much calmer here. Has a nice, quaint suburb feel to it. And you can already see some of the mid and high-rise apartment buildings over there. So yeah, if I was living in one of those apartment buildings, I'd pretty much be home by now, which is pretty sweet. That literally would just be a 10 to 15 minute walk from the airport. But yeah, I mean, I guess at this pace we're maybe just over halfway to the station, so it isn't too bad. But Walleye Creek is a relatively recently developed suburb, so maybe 20 to 30 years ago it was more of an industrial area, and now it's been essentially changed into a nice mixed-use suburb. And you can see here there's a dog park, people just enjoying the Sunday, essentially it's Sunday midday right now. And yeah, in Australia there's I guess a very lazy Sunday kind of culture. People just enjoying the last day of the weekend before going back to work. So yeah, definitely Australians are really into the outdoors, just enjoying life, not taking things too seriously, not working too hard. So I guess it goes with that whole laid back kind of vibe that people think Australians have. But yeah, you can definitely imagine it's pretty chill to kind of live here, spend a lazy Sunday playing with your dogs and things like that. Okay, now we're entering a park. So not only does this walk go along the water, but also goes through a park. So again, it's a nice scenic, quiet, mostly enjoyable walk. So it's not like you're walking through major motorways and things like that. And yeah, as I mentioned, it's a Sunday today, so people are just kind of enjoying their last day of the weekend. One other Australian culture thing on Sunday is called the Sunday sesh, which is short for session. So Australians, they like to shorten all their words. And a Sunday sesh is basically like a Sunday afternoon drinking session. So normally Australians like to drink during the weekend, like weekend nights, Friday, Saturday nights. But then on Sundays, they like to start a bit earlier, and they'll call that a Sunday sesh. Over there you see what's called an oval. So it's also a very Australian thing, which is basically like a big sports ground kind of area for a lot of the popular Australian sports. So there's things like cricket, rugby, Australian rules football. So the Australian rules football is different from American football, which is also different from soccer. So these are all different things, and it can get a bit confusing. But Aussie rules football, essentially, yeah, they play the same kind of ball as the American football, like the same shape of the ball. And American football here is called gridiron. So yeah, it's just different names for all these different sports. But yeah, right now I don't really see anyone playing that. But again, you can see here, just walking along the river. Sometimes I see people fishing and things like that. So yeah, definitely a nice place to spend a Sunday afternoon. Okay, so I'm pretty much in the heart of Walleye Creek now, so you can definitely see a lot of the mid and high-rise buildings around here, so definitely the developed part. Over to my left is a Dan Murphy's and a Woolworths. So Dan Murphy's is what we would call bottle shop here in Australia, which is what Americans would call liquor store. So basically, alcohol can only be sold in bottle shops. You can't buy alcohol from supermarkets or gas stations like you can in the US. And usually a supermarket would have a separate bottle shop attached to it. So that's what the Dan Murphy's is. In this case, the supermarket is Woolworths. So it's one of the two big supermarket chains here in Australia. Okay, so yeah, you can see I'm in the heart of Walleye Creek. And in terms of the demographics of this area, I would say it's pretty diverse, pretty mixed, but definitely a lot of Asian and Chinese, I would say. So you'll definitely see a lot of Asian shops, a lot of Chinese characters and things like that. Okay, I took a wrong turn just now, but yeah, just keep walking along over here. You can see there's a crossing, so we'll just follow these crossings into the main plaza. And we can start to see a lot of the shops in this area. So as I mentioned, in terms of demographics, yeah, there are quite a lot of Chinese and Asian people that live here. So you can see this restaurant here, yeah, it's a Chinese restaurant. And certainly there's no shortage of Asian food options in Walleye Creek. Okay, so this is the main plaza area. and you can see, yeah, plenty of Asian food. So if you do choose to walk to it or from the airport like I'm doing now, and you get a bit hungry, then definitely there's plenty of options here to help you with that. But you can see, yeah, this is probably the main square of Wolai Creek. Again, definitely a nice place for people to hang out and enjoy their Sunday afternoon. So plenty of food and drink options, shopping options as well. There's an Asian supermarket and a pharmacy to my left, and you see families enjoying their day. But yeah, so don't worry if you're feeling hungry or something on your walk to or from the airport, because Wolai Creek has got you covered. Okay, so I pretty much reached the end of the walk now. So in total, it took about 25 minutes. So, and of course, this station as well is a bit further from the airport station. So maybe in total, we'll add about half an hour to your journey time, depending on how lucky you are with the train schedule. But yeah, up there you see Wolai Creek train station, and if you catch a train from here, you'll be able to save yourself that $20 or so airport access fee.